Hi, everyone. Thank you for attending today and welcome. We're excited to be here. We are going to jump right in because we have a lot to cover and only a short amount of time to do it in. So first, I just want to quickly introduce myself and my co-host here, as well as go over a quick agenda. So my name is Megan Mitten. I am the head of marketing here at Streamline AI, and I am joined by Evan Mahalski, our principal solutions architect. So this is going to be a relatively straightforward webinar today. We want to give you a quick look at the Streamline AI platform. So as soon as we get through the introductions and housekeeping, we will go ahead and dive into a live demo, and we will wrap it all up in that 20-minute mark with a Q&A. So if you have any questions, don't be shy. Go ahead and put them in the chat or the Q&A feature, and we will go ahead and get to those as we can. Um, Perfect. So before we really get started, I wanted to give you a quick introduction to Streamline. So I think many of you on this call, based on the registration list, are very familiar with this problem I'm showing here on this slide. So managing legal requests is an absolute mess. You are getting bombarded with requests from all over the organization, sales contracts, NDAs, privacy, compliance, trust and safety, everything you can think of is coming into your team. And historically, the way that that traditionally has come in for most of our clients and prospects is through email, and your team would be responsible for trying to manage that chaos through a spreadsheet. And as you can imagine, and I'm sure you've all experienced, that led to quite a bit of confusion. It led to chaos, and obviously you had no visibility into the work that was actually happening in your legal department. So, Streamline AI was created to help solve that problem. Uh, it is an AI-powered intake triage and matter management platform used by more than 1,000 lawyers across the country. So we are, uh, one of our words. Our our primary goal is to help make the legal intake and matter management process simpler and easier for you. And you can see that we're doing that across the board. Companies using Streamline report 10 times faster intake through our AI-powered triage and routing. They're saving up to 60 minutes per legal request, and they're spending 50% less time tracking down information. So I'm going to stop talking and go ahead and hand it over to Evan so that he can actually walk you through the platform and you can see how it works. Take it away, Evan.
Thanks, Megan. Let me share my screen here. And you should be able to see me now. Okay, so I'm going to go through 3 views today and talk about how Streamline helps make life easier for lawyers working on your team. And we're going to start with the tracker view. So what I'm looking at right now is this is all the intake that's coming into me, a lawyer on the legal team. So a couple things to point out on the screen that's helpful. First is that I'm looking at a commingled list of different request types. So I have some vendor contracts that come in, some sales contracts review, an NDA, something that maybe came in from Ironclad. So I'm managing different types of requests. So anything that comes into your legal team and intake. And it's also coming from a variety of different origins. So I see some from email, some that are created from Ironclad, some created from Slack, some created for traditional form intake. So to Megan's point, anywhere where people are submitting legal requests, we're meeting the user where they are. And for all the different types of requests they have, that can be contracting related and many non-contract relating use cases. Everything flows in through Streamline. And this is my view as a lawyer coming in first thing this morning. I see what's come in, what I need to work on, and I can go manage these requests. A couple of things here just to point out, everything here is totally configurable, both on an administrative level and to my preferences. So if I want different fields, I'm going to move things around. I can do that without affecting anyone else's view, choose how I work. And then also we have some powerful in-app AI, which we call Velo AI, which I also have access to all the institutional knowledge in my system. So I can ask it about different requests we've done, maybe something other lawyers worked on that I wasn't privy to. or I can just use it to get institutional knowledge about our own policies and answer questions on the requests that I need to manage. So all of that's available to you in platform. I see everything I need to work on, and Streamline allows you to drill into these requests and really work your day-to-day through the platform. So I'm going to go into this sales contracting request that has this special sparkle on it. And this sparkle is another place where Streamline is leveraging really powerful AI. So this is a request that was created via email. And we're looking at on the left side what we receive from the requester. So in this case, these gray boxes, what Streamline AI has done is recognize this email that was sent in with some information and pulled that information to start to parse that into the request form for them. So we can take in the email as it came. We get all the nice knowledge that came in from the email, and they don't have to fill out a form, and neither do you. But also, Streamline has automatically gone back to the requester because there was some required information that was missing, and it went back to them. The requester was able to respond back via email, and that email that they sent back was also parsed so that Streamline captured all the information for me automatically before it was even assigned to me. So we use powerful AI features to get all the information from the requester, regardless on, if they came into the platform to create this or just sent you an email with some partial information. We've taken care of a lot of that back and forth. And now I have everything I need for this request to be actionable for me on the legal team. Now you'll see a couple of other things on here because I have these fields that have these checkboxes or these locks on them. This indicates that these are legal only fields, and this is special metadata that I can use to annotate this request and also report up to my coworkers and my management on what I'm working on in this request. So maybe it's very important that we mark the effort level on this because I'm indicating this is a contract review that's going to take me a lot of time versus one that I just need to scan a couple of red lines and I'm done. So in addition to everything we capture from the requester, this gives us a lot of powerful configurable options for lawyers to report back on essential information that's going to feed into your reporting, which I'm going to show on the tail end of this. So that's everything on the left panel here. On the right panel, I want to highlight a couple of things, primarily around the collaboration. So the very important thing, and for Streamline to have all this rich institutional knowledge, we need to capture all the back and forth that's happening on this. So I've already showed you on here that this came in from an email. So I have my email here. There was some automated back and forth. I've run some automated assignments because we can configure this on the ops level so that it gets to the right lawyer based on your routing rules. And we've already handled some back and forth. But now that I'm working the request, I might have some clarifying questions for Sean, where I have some clarifying questions. This is going to send him a notification. And Sean can either go into Streamline and respond to this because everyone has access to the platform, or he can just hit reply to the notification, type out an email that comes into the system either way. Similarly, I might have a use case where I need to collaborate, but I need to collaborate privately without the requester seeing this. So maintaining privilege, and especially amongst the legal team, is very important. So you'll see this toggle here. I can toggle so everyone's visible, including the requester, or just core users, other members of the legal team. And if I, for instance, want to ask, Megan's not in here, we'll do Calvin. We'll pick on Calvin. Calvin, who's another lawyer on my team, I have a private question I need you to answer. That collaboration is still captured here in the request. So you have the full request history, but you see that this comment is only visible to the core users. So Sean on the business team would not see it, whereas my clarifying question from Sean is visible to everyone. So we put a lot of thought into maintaining privilege and making sure that legal can collaborate with each other, including sometimes when we want that to be private and sometimes we want that to be more public. And we thought about that on the field level and the collaboration level, and it's built into everything we do in the platform. Now, a couple of other things I'll just point out here. We have other tabs here, so I can manage attachments and version history as I'm doing red lines. We have integrations with DocuSign and all your downstream systems there. If I need to manage approvals in here, so this set off an executive approval here, that's something we can track through the system as well. And everything on here, the approval history, all the collaboration, all the version history gets captured in the Streamline request, and it becomes fodder for us to use in our institutional knowledge so that other lawyers besides myself benefit from the exchanges that happen in Streamline. Lastly, as I'm working the request, the status changes will indicate different journeys as I'm following this request. So, and this is from the perspective of me, the assigned lawyer. I might be waiting on certain details. I'm blocked. The counterparty is reviewing the requests and the red lines we sent them. I can toggle this status back and forth as the request goes on, and this is going to capture the cycle time of the request and break it down in some very interesting ways that will be very important in reporting. So moving on to reporting. I showed you as a lawyer, I get all my requests coming in. I can manage the requests and the collaboration within the request. We can do this across an entire team. And then the nice thing about this at the end of the day is we get very helpful metrics that we can use and collaborate with our executive stakeholders about what's happening in the legal team. So this is all totally configurable, and we come with some great out-of-the-box views here. So I have my standard view that you get just out of box, just when you purchase Streamline. This shows me wonderful things like the request volume and some projections. So I can see my volume over time. If it's increasing, that might indicate some higher decisions. I can see the distribution of requests, so I know where my requests are coming from and the different types. I might have contracting that takes up 50% of my bandwidth here, but then a long tail of other type of requests that now all gets tracked in system, which might have been previously buried in emails and not tracked anywhere. But most importantly, I have access to the cycle time. So all the requests coming through the system, I see this bar, which is my time to completion, and I can see cumulatively my legal review. This blue bar is an average of 1.86 days, so pretty efficient with all the back and forth of the legal team. And my bottlenecks are the waiting on, which is an averaging on 4 days, and I can break down that executive approval is a big part of my waiting on time and a bottleneck in the process I might want to look at. And then this breaks down for me basically what's happening at each phase of the cycle across all my requests coming through the system. So this allows for some very powerful analytics. And just to tie a bow on this, this is also very configurable. So I might have a different view that either me as the GC can create for myself or me as the ops person can create on their behalf, which is maybe looking at a subset of these. So I want to see just in our contracting process, how are we doing and where are the bottlenecks? Because I have a problem here in my submitted status where it's taking us a long time to pick these up. That indicates a process we might want to dig into. I can also see based on that metadata, if I'm marking my high effort requests coming in here, I can see where there are spikes. We had a huge spike in February. It's starting to trend up again. That indicates some data I can now dig into with my team. And importantly, as we're tracking things that might be important, especially the executive audience, as we're looking at maybe something like revenue impact of legal coming through the system, we can see that June was a huge spike for us. Maybe it's our end of quarter. We're seeing a lot of deals coming through the system. So we can have now very strategic conversations around process, bottlenecks, shining a light into the black box, and also just articulating the value even dollar-wise of what the legal team is doing. So this is just a very quick overview of some of the key beats, but we went through just as a recap how Streamline can help you track all of your information coming in and all of the requests coming in from multiple request sources. We can meet the user where they're at while still giving the lawyers the benefit of aggregating it all in one place so they don't need to jump around to 5 different places. We showed how Streamline gets not only the request details from the requester, but also gives me powerful legal metadata and uses AI to get the information that would previously burn some time in back and forth. We looked at the powerful collaboration audiences, which you can segment to different audiences and all the things you can do in the request. And then we also show how that very powerfully goes into reporting and gives you a good executive view of what's going on in a way that we can have strategic conversations with our partners and stakeholders. So thanks so much for watching. Megan, did we miss anything?
No, I think we covered it. We are going to go into the Q&A portion now. So thank you so much, Evan. One of the questions that came through while we were talking was about integrating with different email clients. So I wanted to give you a chance to answer that live in case anyone had other questions about it.
Great question. There's a couple of different design patterns for this, but in its essence, Streamline has an email intake address, and anything that goes to that address will be used to create a request. And there's also configuration for the AI to then choose the right process for it and also parse the fields. So some customers will have a specialty inbox set up. Maybe it's a legal at inbox and you forward everything or a subset of things. Maybe you have a dedicated NDA inbox where everything in there is an NDA request, or like a litigation inbox where you're getting external requests that get forwarded in. But a lot of times it's just, I'm a lawyer. I get a personal email from someone. I'm the legal team person they know. You can also just forward those requests into the system in a way that still preserves the requester as the originator of the request and kicks off all that automation we saw. So very configurable based on where your emails are coming in now.
Amazing. Thanks, Evan. On that same note, a question we get a lot is about, is email the only channel you can use to get requests into the system, or are there others that we support?
Absolutely not. So email is a very popular channel for all the reasons you can imagine. Slack and MS Teams increasingly is a larger and larger request source for us. As you can imagine, same thing. I'm the lawyer someone knows. I get that Slack message. Hey, can you look at this contract? I don't know what to do. Very easy to just convert those into requests. And again, put it into the system where it can be tracked. You can also go in directly, since every requester has access to this. If you have a legal wiki that people use to follow process here, you can also direct link them to any of the request forms that you create. So here I have my legal service request for sales contracts. They can go in here and actually just fill in this request here. And also we have integrations with things like Salesforce. So if they want to fill this out in Salesforce, you want to automate some information from there too. Many different options, but the key is that it's always going to be coming in from more than one channel. And our ethos is that we want to meet the user where they're at.
Amazing. Yeah, definitely can support you wherever your business users are. I think that makes a big difference. And final question. And before I ask this, I am going to pop a poll for all of you who have stuck around. So please feel free to answer that poll while we tackle our last question. Evan, the last question is, obviously many people, many legal teams, all legal teams are dealing with really sensitive information about the company, about their clients, and things like that. Can you talk a little bit about the security of the Streamline platform?
Yes. Couple of just high level beats. This is something that's obviously very dear to us as a legal tech company started by a lawyer. So things like maintaining privilege and the security of the data is very important. Just a couple of things at a high level. There's very sophisticated permissioning. So me as a requester can just see the things that I've requested. And there's different options for how you do the visibility within the legal team. So it's common that, in the legal team, we're sharing a lot of work with each other. You can have the visibility such that, everyone in the legal team can see each other's requests. We can also segment different legal teams. So you might have a commercial team and a privacy team. We can set that up so that they each see their own type of requests, but there's not cross-pollination unless you intentionally add someone. And then also we have confidential request types. So if you have very sensitive matters like employment issues and things like that, you can have a confidential matter type, which will segment the audience even smaller. And just the people specifically assigned to the request, which you can designate, from a small pool, will have access to those requests. And that flows through the exporting capabilities and the reporting as well. And also important to mention from an admin perspective, you can also have admins that are administering the system that don't have request visibility. So you can really segment this in a lot of ways. And we thought a lot about that.
Thanks, Evan. We actually had a couple more come in while we were talking. So a couple questions about ServiceNow. Firstly, does it integrate with requests submitted by ServiceNow? And then as a follow-up to that, on average, how much time does the implementation require?
I'll answer those in reverse order. Implementation, I started running our implementation team, so very near and dear to me. Implementation is relatively straightforward, especially as compared to something like a CLM integration. So usually it's measured in a number of weeks, and that can be a very short number of weeks if you already have a very well-defined process and it's just implementing and go. Everything in here is point and click configuration that you can do. So it's no custom coding required or anything like that. So if you have a pretty good idea, we can usually get you stood up and have pretty much what you implement in prod in the first like 2-3 meetings. And we'll usually meet, once a week to get that set up. Sometimes people implementing Streamline are using it to reevaluate their process or actually reinvent the process. That might take a little bit longer, but our implementation team is very flexible in that. And you'll see from a lot of our G2 reviews, we put a lot of focus on implementation. So that it's something that's not burdensome. We teach you how to fish. You're not reliant on us to make the updates, and your team is empowered to kind of own the implementation with, of course, a healthy amount of our support as well when needed. So that's the first question. The ServiceNow question. So we have out-of-box integrations with a lot of different vendors. ServiceNow is not one of the ones we have an out-of-box integration with yet. That's starting to come up more and more. It's in some roadmap consideration. So your options for something like a ServiceNow, because we do have customers that are integrated with it, you have a menu of options from very simple, like you can just have ServiceNow send an email into Streamline, and the email can be used to initiate the request, and then legal just handles the request from there. We also have an API. So if your team wants to make a custom connection to something we don't integrate with, and we have a number of customers doing this with ServiceNow specifically, we have endpoints and webhooks that can be used to set that up. Relatively straightforward endeavor, and we've learned some things from watching our customers do that, which we can advise on as well.
Perfect. And then the last two we have time for are about DocuSign. So can it save emails into DocuSign CLM? And kind of on the back of that, how does it save contracts into DocuSign?
Got it. So I'll segment, because I'm not as familiar with DocuSign CLM because they're making a bunch of changes with it. But what we have, our integration with DocuSign works on the attachment level. So let's say this counterparty agreement is a docx, and it's my fourth round of red lines, and this is the final version. What the DocuSign integration is I can send this final version to DocuSign, which will put it through an envelope process, and I can annotate the signatures and everything from there. And then what will happen is when I submit it to DocuSign, DocuSign in our integration will tell us it's out for signature, and then put it in the status. And when we get the signed agreement, that signed agreement will come back from DocuSign, and then it'll append itself to the record here. So basically, it'll do a signing process through DocuSign. It'll send us the signed agreement. And then from there, we have integrations with all sorts of file sharing like Box or NetDocuments or Google or SharePoint, whatever you have. And then from there, you can save it into wherever your repository is.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Evan. We really appreciate your time today. And thank you, everyone who was able to attend. If you have any questions or follow-ups, you're welcome to email us at sales@streamline.ai. We'll be happy to get back to you. And if we will be sending a recording of this webinar out afterward, so you can look forward to receiving that. And we will leave it there. Thank you, everyone. Have a great one.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.